Hi everyone, welcome to Introducing Product Performance Management by BigAtom.ai. You're welcome to this exclusive webinar on product performance management with BigAtom.ai by AdYogi. Do have your notepads ready as we are going to have an informative session for you for 1 hour long. And do share your insights as well or questions that you would like to get answered by our panelists here. Do share which brands you're handling right now. Give introduction about yourself or how you're working currently, in which brands you're working currently, and a little bit about your profile or the e-commerce brands that you're handling. What are your monthly ad spends? What are the e-commerce store that you're currently working upon? All right. So we've opened the chat box for you. Do make sure that you're sharing your insights as well as your introduction about yourself. Again, for those who have just joined, a very warm welcome to Introduction to Product Performance Management by BigAtom.ai. So, just to give you a brief overview of what this session will entail and what exactly product performance management is, what BigAtom.ai is, I, as your host for today, Muskan, would just like to give you an understanding that after working with 350 plus e-commerce brands, we've identified four key problems that are going unaddressed while pushing budgets on Meta and Google Ads. These problems could be which products are profitable for me in terms of conversion rate, ROAS, etc. Second could be how to identify these products in a seamless manner without wasting hours on analysis and fetching information from multiple data sources. Third could be identification of how you can promote the right products across different ad platforms. And fourth is, are there always some products that are leaking budgets and how to pinpoint these products and remove them from catalog link ads. So these four key problems are today the basis of discussion of this exclusive webinar with us. And on that note, I would also like to introduce our panelists for today. We have Anshul, co-founder of BigAtom.ai and AdYogi, and Pranab, team lead of product at AdYogi and BigAtom.ai. So welcome both of you. And in the meantime, for those of you who have just joined, please introduce yourself in the chat box. We would love to know more about you and what exactly are you currently working upon? Are you working as a performance marketer, brand manager, or anything else, or a freelancer for that matter? What is monthly ad spends that you're working around with? And what are your expectations from today's webinar, given that you've already just joined the webinar? All right. We also have a live Q&A session at the end of the webinar, so stay tuned till the end as you will get a chance to ask questions with our panelists over here and get your queries addressed right away just after the session is closed. So before we start with the session, we have a poll for you. The poll is basically to understand what exactly are the number of products in your catalog. Now, the number of products could be between 0 to 100, 100 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000, maybe beyond 10,000 or beyond 1 lakh as well. So we do have a lot of clients or marketplaces that are dealing with different sizes of catalogs. And that is the basis of product performance management, to be able to understand the catalog size, drill down upon it, and then help you deliver granular analysis and insights. So we have results coming in mostly for 0 to 100, while product performance management may be most relevant for brands of a catalog size above 300. We still recommend that you track the performance of each and every product and be on top of the performance of your products in the catalog. All right, we end the poll here and the results are on your screen. You can see that our audiences over here are mostly brands joining in with catalog size less than 100. And we also have some brands joining with catalog size between 100 to 1,000 and beyond 1,000 as well. All right, now that we have some understanding of what are the products that you're handling, what are the ad spends that you're handling. So we do have some brands that have an ad spends of, let's say, 50 lakhs per month as well. So that's great to have you on board and hope you have an insightful session and are able to gather insights from this particular webinar. All right, now we move on to the agenda of the webinar. So today's agenda will entail what exactly is product performance management and why. The big question is why product performance management, which is basically answered by the problems and challenges that e-commerce brand owners have faced and which Anshuk and Pranav personally have experienced and heard from while working with e-commerce brands at AdYogi and BigAtom. Second would be effective ways to improve profitability for e-commerce brands. Herein, we'll show you the analysis that happens on Excel, Meta Ads Manager, Google Ads, etc. And ultimately, we give you an automated solution to address these challenges, wherein we talk about different use cases of BigAtom.ai. And lastly, a live Q&A session just for you to address your queries at the end. So, without any further ado, welcoming Anshuk on the floor. Happy to have Anshuk and Pranav for this exclusive session. Over to you, Anshuk.
Uh, Thanks, Muskan. Hi, everyone. A very good afternoon to all of you. I'm one of the co-founders of AdYogi. Over the last 9 odd years, we've actually worked primarily on e-commerce brands and how do we help them scale profitably across Meta and Google platforms. And today I'm going to be talking about some of my key learnings when working with them. So these are the common challenges when I interact with brands. And I'm sure some of you, if not all of you, would have experienced at least one of these challenges when working on your own e-commerce brand. The first one is we hear a lot of founders tell me that, look, I have launched a new collection on my website. And for some reason, my new collection is not picking up, which means in a way, it's like a discoverability problem. I'll talk more about it in my subsequent slides as well. The second challenge we have heard is, and this is a question I often ask many founders, that what percentage of your spends on Meta and Google actually go to, let's say, top wear versus bottom wear? And it could be any categories, right? The idea is having a very close control over where the spends are going is the second big challenge we have seen brand owners face. Third is, do you really know which segments are more profitable, right? And the segment could be anything. It could be your new season merchandise versus old season merchandise. It could be discounted versus non-discounted. But the longer question is, do we know where the profitability is coming from, right? And the last question I often hear from brands is many of them say that we know that certain spends are going into products which are non-profitable, but we don't know how do we figure it out or how do we control this, right? Which is more of a problem of a leaking ad spend. So these are the four big problems which we have seen. I'll talk a little bit about it in my subsequent slides. Maybe also walk you through how this problem can be solved, like Muskan also mentioned. And then I'll leave it to my colleague Pranav to talk a little bit about how we have solved this in BigAtom. Let's keep going. So this is the first problem, right? And I'll speak about this brand Sephora. We've been working with Sephora for some time. They are actually known to launch a lot of new brands. Something like Rare Beauty, Kylie Cosmetics are brands on Sephora. And a common challenge they face is whenever they launch a new brand on the website, how do they make sure that the new collection or the new brand gets enough visibility across their ad campaigns? And what I've seen many brands do is they have a common catalog sales or a performance max campaign where they put their entire catalog. And we've seen that it becomes very hard for you to figure out, are your new collections getting enough spends? Because inevitably what Meta and Google do is they tend to push more budgets behind your earlier collections because they have some history behind those SKUs. So it becomes tough for us to promote the newer collections. And the same challenge we have seen across multiple other brands. Like, for example, for Malmal, we see this challenge that when they launch their new Raksha Bandhan collection, how do they push enough momentum towards it? For Rare, we have seen that when they launch their new footwear collection, how do they scale their footwear collection, right? So that's the discoverability challenge. Let's go to the next slide. The second challenge is how do you really figure out where the spends are growing? And I know when I interact with a lot of founders, many of them tell me that even the let's say performance teams, many of them tell me that they don't know where the product-wise spend data can be tracked, or even if they know that they find it very hard to get that data and actually make any sense of it. So for the benefit of everybody, both Google and Meta actually report product-wise data. And the screenshots on the screen show you an actual screenshot pic from the two platforms. Google, in its item ID breakdown in Google Ads interface, has this nice view where they show item ID and product name and click, impression, CTR, as you can see on the screen. Similarly, Meta also has a product ID breakdown. Now, many of you may know that after iOS 14, Meta stopped reporting revenue at a product level, which is actually quite unfortunate. But Meta still continues to report engagement matrices at a product level. So you see impressions, clicks, CTR, amount spent, and a few other matrices at a product level, as you can see in the screenshot, right? So this data can actually be collated and mapped across Google and Meta to figure out how much is the exact spends going at a product and a category level, right? And I'll give you a few examples of how we have used, how brands are able to make sense of it. So for example, for Libas, they wanted to know how much is going into accessories versus suit sets. Suit sets is their hero category. For Bombay Shirt Company, shirts is the key category. So how much is going into shirts versus trousers or pants? For Sugar, again, skin versus makeup. Similarly, for National Miles, luggage versus backpacks. So this is a common question which we see brands trying to address, that how much spends is going into your hero category, which is the category which you are known for, and how much is it going into your challenger category, if I may call so. Challenger, think of it as a number 3, number 4, number 5 category, which you want to build over a period of time, right? And this sort of an analysis across Meta and Google can actually help us answer that, right? The third challenge for today, which I want to cover, is profitability, right? We spoke about it briefly as well, which is which segments are most profitable for my brand, right? And here the segments need not always be categories. Segments could be cohorts of products. And I'll give you a few examples of cohorts, right? For example, new season versus old season merchandise. That's a very common cohort which we come across, that how is my new season more profitable? Is my old season more profitable, right? And most people have this hunch that my new season is more profitable, but they may not have concrete evidence to say it's more profitable, right? We always know revenue, is it coming from new season or old season, but I'm talking about profitability, and profitability includes marketing spends as a very key contributor to profitability, right? Similarly, we may want to know cotton versus linen. Are my cotton shirts more profitable? Are my striped shirts more profitable? Is my Rakhi collection more profitable than Diwali? Is my lipsticks or combos more profitable? We have usually seen combos and kits tend to be much more profitable than individual categories. Or you may also want to see your sub-brand wise. Like for example, Libas has a collection, Libas Art. They might want to see how is their Libas Art collection doing in terms of profitability compared to other collections. So the key call out here being that profitability at a category level is of course important, but cohort level profitability actually helps in merchandising a lot. If today we figure out that our striped shirts are more P&L positive compared to solids, then maybe that's a great input for the merchandising team. Just moving on to the fourth challenge I wanted to cover today as well. And we'll talk about a little bit about how do we solve this also, but maybe first cover the challenge. The fourth is a very, very common challenge. And I'll encourage all of you to do this very simple exercise. Go to Google Analytics, go to the product-wise section of Google Analytics, and just sort descending the amount of traffic coming on the products, right? And you will be able to see the top 10 products which are getting the maximum traffic on the website. And you can do it for any particular month, maybe do it for the month of June, because we just are in starting of July. Now, look at the top 10 products. And I can guarantee you that you will find at least 1 or 2 products in the list. And you will be surprised that why am I getting so much traffic on this product? And you may in your mind think that, look, this is not my best product. Why should so many people come on this? Maybe the conversion rate on this product is not good for the same reason, right? And this particular product could be anything. It could be a broken size. Maybe you have only a small or an extra small in stock. It could be a category you don't want to promote. Like, for example, we have brand Hamster London. They don't want to promote their back to school category because they say the average order values are very low in this category. So if you start promoting a back to school category, then you end up getting people who are only buying lower AOV products. It could be a category which you feel you don't have price parity. There would always be certain products on the website which are not competitive. Maybe the price on marketplace is better for them, right? Or it could be a product simply which you feel that you don't want to promote it to your prospects. You want to promote only to your existing customers. Like, for example, it could be a category like an inner wear, which you don't want to actively promote on platforms like Meta, right? So when you look at this top 10 products which are getting traffic, uh, you may be able to figure out a few of these products are not the ones which you want it to be. And the challenge here is a good share of this traffic must be coming from ad campaigns, because we all know that organic traffic today is at best 20-30% of the overall traffic. 80% comes from paid channels. So if a product is appearing in the top 10 in Google Analytics, chances are it's because you're already spending a lot of money on this product without we actually knowing that we are spending money on this product. And which is the fourth challenge for today, which is leaking ad spends. Now, let's keep going. Now that I've spoken about all the four challenges, and I hope everybody present has been able to relate to at least one challenge of the four, if not more than one challenge. I want to talk about how can this potentially be solved. And there are slightly complicated ways to solve it, but it can still be done. If we have an analytics guy in our team, we can actually make this happen. So I'll try to walk you through 3 steps on how this can be solved. And we'll try to keep it very simple just so that everybody can understand it better. The first step is get all the data sources in place. And this is not as difficult as it might sound. So we need to download spends data from Meta and Google Ads. I showed some screenshots on how it can be done. We need to download analytics data from Google Analytics 4, and this can also be done at an SKU level. And we need to download revenue data from the website backend. Again, it can be done at an SKU level. For catalog sizes of 100, 500, Excel can do it very easily. For larger catalog size, of course, we may face some challenges. Once all these 4 data sources are downloaded, we just need to make sure that the SKU ID is common across all 4 of them. In some cases, we have seen that we may be sending parent SKU ID or child SKU ID to Google Analytics, in which case we may face a problem in mapping them. The second step will be categorize the products. We will need to put intuitive categories on top of it. For example, it could be your category level data, shirts, t-shirts. It could be subcategory level data, something like striped shirt, striped t-shirt. So this categorization needs to be as granular as possible to be able to make good sense out of the data. Once this is done, then the data collection process is largely done. Post that, it's very quick calculations on Excel which can be done. For example, we can calculate blended ROS at a product level. So total spend on Meta and Google, total revenue from Shopify backend, and blended ROS is the ratio of the two. We can create ROS buckets. We usually recommend creating an ROS bucket less than 2x, greater than 2x, less than 3x, greater than 3x, depending on where the average ROS lies. Spend bucket, again, something like less than 2000, greater than 2000. Depends a little bit on what is the catalog size and average spend per catalog, but maybe a good start could be a number like 2000, right? And the duration we recommend is usually for a month of 30 days. We can do it 7 days, we can do it 3 days, but the more granular we go, the more data we need to process at a regular basis. Maybe 30 is a good number to start, right? Once we do this, on the right side, what we are recommending is to create a very simple pivot. Put the spend bucket and the ROS bucket in the columns and rows of the pivot. And you can clearly see number of products falling into each category, right? For example, here you can say that greater than 2000 spend and greater than 2x ROS, we have 200 products falling, right? And just this simple representation is the first step towards knowing that are we spending in the right products? Because if you see on the same chart, we see less than 2000 and less than 2x also 250 products, right? So there is a huge number of products which are getting less ROS, but still continue to get some spends, right? So if you just go to the next slide, this is where I've tried to sort of give a better representation of what I just spoke about. So you have spend buckets on the x-axis, you have ROS buckets on the y-axis, and four clear quadrants coming out of it, right? Now, from an immediate actionability perspective, we highly recommend to focus on quadrant number 1 and quadrant number 3. Okay. What is quadrant number 1? Quadrant number 1 are those products which are getting a lot of spend but not getting enough ROS. Clearly, these products are the leakage which I spoke about in my previous section. Quadrant number 3 are products which are getting less spends but getting very good ROS. These are those cohorts of products which can actually give the next wave of growth. Because I'm assuming you're already spending a lot on the hero products. And of course, we can continue to scale them. But for a brand to go from, let's say, 1 CR to 10 CR or 10 CR to 100 CR, it's the quadrant 3 which becomes very important. These are the hidden gems which have the potential to scale, but are not getting the opportunity due to various reasons. It may be because the way Meta and Google are actually optimizing these products. So 1 and 3 are the takeaways. Now, how do we use this information is what I'll talk about in the next slide. So once we are able to identify quadrant 1 and 3, a good way is in the same pivot which we have created, just download the list of all item IDs or SKU IDs corresponding to quadrant 1 and corresponding to quadrant 3. Both Meta and Google have this option that you can actually go to the ads manager and pick products based on item ID or SKU ID and create a cohort or product set or product group. So Meta calls it product set, Google calls it product group, but at the end of it, it's a set of SKU IDs which can be uploaded on the interface, and you can create a group of these products. Like what you see on the screen, we have selected 5 products, right? Now, what can be done is we can create a separate ad on top of these 5 products. 5 is too small. We usually recommend it to be something around 100 plus products. So you can create a separate ad on Meta linked to catalog, or you can create a separate Performance Max campaign linked to these, or we can always create a separate demand gen campaign linked to these. So some of us might know that demand gen also has capability to connect to catalog. So once we identify this number 3 products, which is the opportunity products we saw in the last screen, you can actually create a demand gen campaign just for these opportunity products. And that's actually very, very powerful because you are giving more push to the best potential products, right? So the same way, like we spoke about, these products can also be excluded. So we can create a product set of these, exclude them from the ads, and that will take care of the quadrant 1 we spoke about, which is leakage of products, right? So just summarizing what we spoke about, we looked at 4 challenges, um, uh, which I hope many of you were able to relate. We spoke at what is a potential solution to it. How can we really solve at least 2 of these challenges using a manual analytics way? The larger call out which I wanted to discuss today is also that many a times we have seen that when we started e-commerce marketing around 7-8 years back, we used to always figure out what are the levers to grow a brand. And at that point in time, we used to work a lot on campaign structure, ad structure, targeting, whether it's lookalike or whether it's persona. What we have realized over the last 2-3 years is the big lever to grow an e-commerce brand is actually product selection more than any of these other levers, because targeting in general has been automated by Meta and Google largely. We have these Advantage Plus campaigns and we have these Performance Max campaigns. So today, the biggest lever we see is just making sure that you're putting budget behind the right products. And which is why this entire focus over the last few slides was. Let's keep going, Pranav. So we have a poll for you, and maybe Muskan, if you just launch the poll. Um,
Definitely. So the poll again is about understanding you better and what are the problems that you are currently facing with your e-commerce brand. So we discussed a couple of problems such as lack of product discoverability, lack of clarity on spends distribution, inability to identify your profitable products, and leaking ad spends on the wrong product. So you can see a pop-up box on your screen right now. Feel free to share with us what are the problems that you're currently facing, and we'd be happy to give you solutions to these problems in just a matter of few more minutes. So we have lack of discoverability and inability to identify product segments competing against each other. So definitely we do understand that it is a very big challenge to identify what are your profitable SKUs and to be able to pinpoint those SKUs and then promote them in your ads. So we'll end the poll in another 5 seconds. I request everyone to engage with this particular question as it will help us to understand your brand and your needs better. All right, closing the poll now, and the results are as follows. Inability to identify profitable products is the biggest challenge that our audience here is facing. And don't worry, folks, as we will be addressing this particular challenge in the next few slides, as you will be able to see how BigAtom.ai's product set creation will be able to help address this challenge. All right. I think we can switch to the solutions part of this session now. Over to you, Pranav, and thank you so much, Anshul, for giving a detailed explanation of the challenges our e-commerce brands are facing right now.
Thank you, Anshuk. Thank you, Muskan. And again, I just want to thank Anshuk for giving us the insightful session on what are the challenges or the key big challenges that the e-commerce owners have been facing in a couple of years that we have worked with them. Now, as Anshuk rightly said, there are four major challenges, and this is where the Big Atom AI comes into picture, is to plug these issues or let's say problems that the brand owners face, and then come up with a solution. So, for example, let's say Big Atom AI helps you to understand that how is your product performing, let's say at multiple segments or multiple channels, and then identify and then segment those products into each different bucketing, and so that your decision taking at a product level becomes more important. So, as rightly said, BigAtom and AI will help you to understand your profitable segments and direct those spends towards those profitable segments. And at the same time, stop leakage of your ad spends on products that are negatively hampering your overall brand growth. Now, how do we do it via the BigAtom AI is how we go to the next slide, which is the product set creation. Now, intelligent product set creation or product segment creation using the using the Big Atom AI helps you to cherry pick multiple matrices or attributes at a product level. So you have multiple sources like Meta, Google Analytics Store, as well as your website backend. Now you can pick up these attributes or these data source attributes at a product level. So you have the matrices and you have the attributes, and then you create those profitable segments. So as Anshuk mentioned, while you are trying to identify those profitable segments, you have the option to create your top performers of products that bring you 80% of your overall website revenue. At the same time, also create an opportunity product segment pipeline where you're able to fuel your next best sellers or your next product segments. Now, how do we do it? I'll just play this video and this helps us to better understand. Now, if I can see, we are creating intelligent product segments based upon the Google spends or the Google ROAS. So you can select a specific ROAS metric range. And then in the video, we see that this Google ROAS is more than 2x. And at the same time, we can define a spend trend that we want to pick up products that are, let's say, greater than 200 and let's say less than 2000. So this gives us a band or a range of products that fall within the specific filters. So once we have, let's say, identified certain filters on the basis of matrices, we also have the option to do that querying or filtering at an attribute level as well. So let's say in case if I want to run those products on a specific category collection or let's say any specific product title or landing page, I can define those attributes and then I can apply these filters for that specific date range. And it'll automatically query my entire catalog, give me a list of products that fall within my specific range. So again, as I said, we can create those pipelines of our best-selling products or our opportunity products, and then create a segment on top of it, and then launch the segment into both Meta and Google. This feature helps you to segment your products and identify your profitable segments, and at the same time divert your ad spends towards those profitable segments that bring a positive impact to your overall brand growth. Now, with the feature currently available, we did, and we have launched that in Sugar Cosmetics, where we were able to, launch a high potential product group within Sugar Cosmetics, and saw 36% higher or incremental ROAS as compared to the average PMAX ROAS, which overall contributed to an overall 32% in revenue jump or a revenue generation for Sugar Cosmetics. So this is the power that an intelligent product segment or a top performer product segment can have on your brand, where you're able to exponentially grow your products based upon the performance of your product from multiple data sources using the Big Atom dashboard. The second structure where you can optimize your brand on. So see, let's understand and go to the basics. as much as it is important to promote your best sellers and divert your ad spends towards products that are positively impacting your brand, it becomes equally important, or as Anshu correctly mentioned, as an optimization lever to also save your ad spends on products that are leaking your ad spend. So this is where the stop loss automations comes into picture, where you're able to identify products that are negatively hampering your growth or products that are non-performers for you, or as we saw in the quadrant, the fourth quadrant or your non-performers, where dedicated ad spends have been placed, but at the same time, you're not getting an equal amount of performance on top of this. So you can set up a product stop loss automation, which will automatically exclude products or non-performing products from your catalog. Again, you have the power of the big atom analytics where you're able to cherry pick multiple data sources from your Meta, Google Analytics 4 and your website backend. And then you can define certain conditions that are not working out for you. And then any product that falls below this can be excluded from your catalog. Now, again, this is a very powerful feature that actually helps you to plug that wasted ad spends going into non-performing products. Now, again, as with the implementation, we were able to see that in a global luxury apparel marketplace brand, we were able to save 19% of monthly ad spends just by using the power of stop loss automations. So you can set up customized stop loss conditions on top of your matrices and attributes. So let's say as this slide, you can pick up a specific category, or let's say if you're changing a season, or let's say if it's a festivity season, and you do not want your non-performing products to be part of the catalog, you can select those attributes and matrices, and then accordingly set up a stop loss condition. Now, for that specific brand, we were able to save 19% of ad spends from going into poor performers. And at the same time, we saw an incremental 20%, 27% upliftment of your ROAS on Google Ads. So as on the screenshot, you can set up multiple rules basis your Google spends and your blended ROAS and define multiple pipelines to set up those specific rules. Now, apart from understanding at how do you direct those ad spends to relevant segments, as well at the same time stop your non-performers from going into your ad spend going into your non-performers. We also have a couple of more features that also help you to put out a better creative messaging, which is in terms of creative automation using the dynamic creative overlay. But this feature allows you to set up dynamic product overlays on top of your creatives to have better strategy, or let's say better messaging going out during the festivity seasons, or let's say if you are launching a new collection, or let's say a specific collection for a specific event. Now, two major use cases that you can have is the first is these overlays are also applicable on Instagram as well, which you would not be able to do it via the default meta overlay section. So any overlays that you use from the Big Atom dashboard, it gets automatically reflected in your Instagram. And at the same time, any overlay change that happens on a specific product does not push your ad into a learning phase. So that being said, your ad's learnings remains intact, but at the same time, you're also able to promote multiple or customizable overlays on top of your products based upon the seasonality, or let's say the festivities if you're entering in your e-commerce journey. And the last thing that we want to talk about was feed enrichment using the feed AI filter or the title builder. Now, within Google Shopping, it becomes more important that your ads or your products are able to correctly match what the users are, let's say, searching for a specific product, or what the users are typing on Google. So let's say the better optimized your shopping titles are on Google, the more Google has the advantage to pick up those specific products and match it to those specific search queries. So this is where the title builder comes into picture, where you have the option to create those customizable titles or those enriched titles based upon your feed, and then pick up those titles and automatically push it. So apart from just picking up, let's say, a yellow kurta for sale, you can definitely have something as a yellow kurta with a material, size, print, multiple custom attributes and labels to make your titles more enriched and have better discoverability on top of your optimized titles. So again, we did see very many success stories on top of your title automation. So Rare Rabbit was able to, let's say, uplift this PMAX campaign performance by up to 56% in terms of traffic and 32% in terms of overall conversion, just by having better optimized titles or shopping titles on its PMAX campaigns or on its products. So one of the major use cases that your title builder can solve is the product discoverability, where you're able to highlight the major USPs, or let's say the more attributes of product in your shopping titles, and push your products accordingly. So the better optimized your titles are, the more upliftment you can see, let's say at a product level, or let's say at a brand level, with the title builder that we have on the Big Atom dashboard.
All right, it's another poll time for you. What was your favorite feature till now? So Pranav covered a lot of features today that Big Atom is offering. and is helping you scale profitably through product-led growth. The first feature being creation of product sets using filters. So we saw an overview and a screen recording of how exactly you can use different filters to create a niche product set. Then we saw feed enrichment using title builder, which again helps you enrich your titles. And we also saw a case study from Rare Rabbit where we were able to scale revenues and the conversions by certain percentages. Then we have creative automation using dynamic creative overlays, which again helps you enhance your product images and convey creative communication that is important for clicks as well as conversions. And lastly, we saw stop loss automation to help you save ad spends from going on to your broken products with broken sizes, which basically means products that do not have all the sizes or variants available or are basically underperforming products and are not yielding you as much results. So we only have 12 people here who've answered the question. We would request each and every one of you to answer this particular poll as it will help us understand which feature exactly would you like to try out on the Big Atom platform and would also help us get an understanding as to how we can further build on this feature. All right, so we end the poll here, and as you can see on your screen right now, the ad spend savings feature, which is stop loss automation, definitely is one key challenge, and also one of the key features that we have on the platform that will definitely help you. As we saw a 19% savings for a global luxury apparel brand, also saving at least 90% of their ad spends on a monthly basis just by using this feature. If you wish to know more about this particular feature or anything that we discussed in today's webinar, you can feel free to get in touch with us through the meeting link that we've shared in the chat box. You can book a demo, and there is a certain criteria to which we get serve these particular demos. So basically, you need to have a catalog size of at least 300 plus products, and you need to have a legitimate and functional e-commerce website and a monthly ad spend of, let's say, greater than 10 lakh rupees, as product performance management is the most suitable for such brands wherein you have a large catalog size, as mentioned before as well. All right. So now that we are done with the poll, I think we can move to the last section of the webinar, which is live Q&A, and my most favorite section. As in this section, you can get your questions answered live from our panelists here. We have certain sections in the chat box as well. So just getting right into it, our first question is, if an SKU gets out of stock, then Facebook automatically stops ad spends on it or not? So this question is from Dhruv, and I would like to pose this question to Anshuk, who could help us understand how exactly the mechanism of this feature works on Facebook and what Big Atom does over and above it.
Right. So, so if a product goes out of stock, Facebook has a functionality that you can automatically remove it, so that no longer spends go into that product. The challenge comes is typically the definition of out of stock is if all variants go out of stock. So if you're in the apparel space and you have like extra small, small, medium, large, extra large, extra large, then if all the 7 sizes go out of stock, then the product is out of stock. But what we have seen internally is the moment your core sizes go out of stock, maybe that medium and large go out of stock, the conversion rate on the product dips significantly. So as per Facebook, you may still continue to serve the product because technically it's in stock. But from a product performance perspective, we may end up losing a lot of money because we'll show the product, land people on the product page. They will find that their favorite sizes are out of stock, which is medium and large, and they will bounce off. So what we do in our PPM feature is we have a way to configure the rules. So we can say that if 50% of my core sizes are out of stock, then consider the product out of stock. So we fundamentally change the definition of out of stock just to make sure that all your broken sizes also are considered out of stock, and there no spends are going into those products. Back to you, Muskan.
Right. I hope that clarifies your question, Dhruv. So over to the next question. We have this question from Sohail where he's asking how to avoid overlap between products while promoting in catalog linked ads, and how to introduce new products that you have identified. This could be fresh arrivals, new collections, etc. So I think Pranab, would you be able to take up this question?
Uh, Got it. Let's say let's pick up the first part of the question, which is how do you prevent products, let's say an overlap of product between multiple segments, is when you can use the big atom product analytics section where you use certain specific attributes and filters to, let's say, segment your products into multiple product segments. So let's say something as simple as, within my kurta category, let's say within my top wear category, select me a list of products that, let's say, have a conversion rate of more than 2x versus products that have, let's say, a conversion rate of less than 2x. So any product that falls above 2x versus any product that falls below 2x, you have a clear distinction, and significantly you can use multiple levels of filters, such as attributes. So within a specific collection, certain products that have a upper performance versus, let's say, a low performance. So this is how you ensure that your products do not overlap between multiple segments. And the second question being, how do you launch these new products? It's essentially when you're creating a certain specific segment, you need to identify those profitable segments. So again, the question of profitability versus the convertibility is a question that, as a brand owner, you can answer, that what is more important to you, a fast-moving product or product that brings you more revenue. And based on that, you can create those segments and launch it accordingly. So let's say for your classic, you may want to launch, let's say, your new arrival, or let's say your fresh collection. But at the same time, if you want to target your repeat purchases, you can start going by, launching those profitable segments to your repeat purchases. Hence, you start launching new collections or new arrivals on your product segment section. I hope that answers the question.
I hope so too. And thank you for explaining this in detail, Pranam. We have another question from Sohail. What action to take for each four categories of the 2x2 quadrant? So if we could go back to the slide where we showcase the product performance matrix, we would be able to help you better understand the actions taken for each and every quadrant. So anyone of you could take up this question, Anshuka, Pranam.
Yes, I can pick it up. So for the quadrant number one, like we said, remove them. We definitely don't want spends going into them. So we can go to Meta and Google and exclude these SKU IDs like we spoke about. For the hero products, we need to continue to push budget behind them. So 60 to 70% of the budget has to continue to go into hero products, because these are the ones which are giving the best performance. They're also scaling very well, which means they're giving good revenue also. So for this, just make sure that you have the right set of campaigns marked out or carved out for them, and you continue to push budgets. High potential is where we recommend having a separate campaign altogether, so that we can push budgets with them. The challenge comes is when we combine high potential and hero, then by default, high potential do not get spends, which is why they are high potential and not hero. So high potential, we have to force Meta and Facebook to give them budgets, because we know that there is evidence they are performing really well, right? Zombie is actually the tricky category. They have neither got opportunity nor have shown any promise. So think of it as a risky area. They have not proved themselves, but they have not got a chance to prove themselves also. So our strategy for them is, if you have really done all you can do for 1, 2, and 3, now then let's address 4, where you may want to start pushing budgets into zombie. Either they will move to high potential, which means they have proven themselves. Once you give them some budgets, they may become hero, or they may turn into the quadrant number 1, which is non-performers. So zombie can go anywhere, which is why it's a tough segment to sort of crack. And we only recommend doing it after we have solved the other problems.
Right. Thank you for explaining, Anshuk. I think I hope it's clear what exactly is the follow-up action that you need to take after segmenting your products into these four quadrants. We have another question that has been posted anonymously. Do we as a company would need an experienced analyst to deal with Big Atom as a product and save ad spends, or any marketer can easily use the platform? So I would like to just address this question that you do not need any experienced analyst or an external party to deal or handle BigAtom.ai's product features. All you need to have is basic understanding of performance marketing, a live Facebook and Google ad account, monthly ad spends of greater than 10 lakhs rupees per month, and a catalog of, let's say, 300 plus products to go live with us, and of course, a functional e-commerce website. In case you wish to know more about the same and get a personalized demo, please click on the link that we shared in the chat box, and we'd be happy to address the same for you and happy to give you a demo as well. All right, moving on to the other set of questions that we have in the chat box. We have a question. I tried checking the product data on Meta and Google, but it did not load for me. What should I do? So, Pranav, would you be able to address this query of our attendees?
And again, that's a very good question. And we have come across cases where, Meta and Google definitely take a lot of amount of time to load that data. But again, there is also a limit. Let's say anything greater than 1,000 SKUs is when Meta or Google may, let's say, fail to load that data. And this is where you require that API support or backend support from Meta and Google to pull that data back into, let's say, your Excel or CSV, and then, download that data. Now, one way would be to, filter those products and download an Excel or a CSV and then see that data on a day-on-day basis and do your analytics on top of it. But I mean, anything greater than 1,000 would be a problem for you to load it on Meta and Google and then see it on real time. This is like also where you want to download the data on a manual basis and then see that data. So how do you overcome is when you, let's say, load it on the BigAtom platform where you have data more or less on, let's say, on a quantifiable basis. And you have all the product level data available where you can query those data and then see those results accordingly and filter those segments as and when you like.
Thanks, Pranav. I hope that would help our attendees in getting the required product data that they need from these ad platforms. And of course, try out the platform of BigAtom as well, that can provide them this comprehensive view on the dashboard only. Next question that we have is, it's a very interesting question. How do we know the upper limit of expanding the ad budget on hero products? So I hope the attendees have grasped the concept of promoting hero products, and that's a very good sign that you guys have been paying attention. But now the question that you've asked is, how do we know the upper limit of expending the ad budget on hero products? So Anshuk, would you be able to take this up?
Yes, this is a genuine problem and honestly a very thought out question, I would say. Not many people actually understand this concept that hero products also can only absorb a certain amount of ad budget. We have seen that, like I was telling in between also, that for a brand to grow from, let's say, 10 CR to 50 CR or next wave of journey, it's not the hero products which take the brand. It's actually the high potential products which take the brand. Because beyond a point, hero brands also get saturated. Hero products also get saturated. One way you can figure it out is it's tough to do that, but look at the incremental ROS we are getting on the hero products. So imagine we have, let's say, 200 hero products. We are spending, let's say, lakh rupee per month on those. And we're getting like a 4x ROS. Now, next month, if we spend 2 lakh rupees on the same 200 products, if we continue to get it 3.5 to 4x, then it's not a problem. Obviously, there is some diminishing returns, but if the ROS dips to like a 3x, which means there is a near 20% drop in ROS by increasing the budget by 100%, then we know that the saturation is coming. So maybe a good benchmark could be that, are you able to maintain ROS within, let's say, 10-15% of where you are by gradually increasing the budgets, then there is no saturation. If the ROS fluctuates by more than 20%, then you're probably reaching the saturation point.
Right. Again, I hope that answers your question. We will take up one last question for this session. What about if my majority ad spends goes into non-catalog ads, then how can BigAtom help me? So again, that is a very good question, considering that BigAtom.ai is have been built on the basis of product performance management and on the premise that you are running catalog ads. So how exactly would BigAtom.ai help you in case you're not putting enough budgets on catalog linked ads and are pushing, let's say, videos, carousels, etc.? I think again, Anshuk should be able to address this particular question.
Right. So we have seen two sort of types of scenarios. Number one scenario is where you have a very large catalog. Then inevitably we have seen that a good share of the budget continues to go into catalog linked ads. Because if you have a catalog of like 500,000, 2,000 products, and maybe it's in the fashion space, then we see that catalog linked ads are the ones which do the best, right? On the contrary, if our catalog size is relatively smaller, let's say 200, 300, or we are in the beauty, personal care, health and wellness categories, we have seen that it's actually the video ads which tend to do really well and not the catalog linked ads. And the reason is very simple, that if you see a image of a t-shirt or a shirt, it's very easy to figure out the USP. So typically images do really well. But on the contrary, think about trying to sell something like an Ayurveda bottle, right? By showing an image, people don't have the patience to read all the fine print of an Ayurveda or a face wash or a beauty makeup, right? For them, videos are which do really well, because you want someone to really talk about the product and explain it and sell it, right? Now, from a product performance perspective, the way we address this is, for anything which is linked to catalog, we of course get the spends from Meta and Google, like we spoke about, right? But for anything which is not linked to catalog, maybe you're running a single video or a single image ad and landing on the product page or a category page, what we do is we look at the traffic coming onto that particular product from Google Analytics, and then we reverse calculate the approximate spends which would have gone into it to get that traffic. And we have been able to get a reasonable accuracy of this estimated spends. This is based on the average cost per click at a campaign level. And we see good results coming out of it. So imagine you have a video ad, it spent X amount of money, got us 100 views onto a particular product. We will reverse calculate that 100 views multiplied by the average CPC and get the spends. So the entire product performance management would also be applicable if we are running non-catalog ads using this methodology. Back to you,
Right.
Muskan.
Thanks, Anshuk. I hope our attendees were able to understand how BigAtom.ai can help address the challenges uh, we talked about in the initial segment of this particular session. Since we are short on time, we would be wrapping up this session, but I guess we still have some queries from our attendees over here. So, Ajay, we are allowing you to speak, so please be brief about it, about your query, and we'd be happy to address it. Over to you, Ajay. Please go ahead. I think you've also posted a question on the Q&A section as well. We are on the growth stage as we cross 300 to 400 orders on a monthly basis, and we must be profitable as well as scalable. We want to go to market after 5,000 orders per month. What's exactly needed in terms of marketing? So all you need to have is a scalable and a profitable strategy while you're running your ads. In case you're an e-commerce website, which I'm assuming you have, we would suggest that you scan and track your performance on the product level, as we talked about throughout the session, and address the challenges that we have talked about, wherein we are wherein e-commerce brands have been unable to figure out which products are profitable for them. So in order to be scalable as well as profitable, you have to figure out a product and ad strategy wherein you choose the right products and push them in your catalog linked ads. In order to know more about how BigAtom.ai can help you and what exactly would be suitable for your particular brand, please feel free to reach out to us in the link that we shared in the chat box. All right, so that's a wrap for today's session. Thank you so much, Anshuk and Pranav, for detailing product performance management, BigAtom.ai's use cases, the challenges that we've encountered in the last 5 years that we've been working on these product features. Thank you for this particular session, and thank you to our attendees for being patient with us and sending us so many queries that we have to miss out on some. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll share the recording with you after the session. All right. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.